a lot of us know the people that are, outgoing, just out. Okay, everyone knows those people that are just outgoing. They go out, do all these crazy things. They're not afraid of anything, and everyone knows those people that are just, kind of calm, a little scared. The people that are very pessimistic. And if you don't know what that means, it means people that expect the worst. And there's a quote by Peter that goes, "A pessimist is a man who looks both ways before crossing a one-way street." And what this quote means to me is that, a person who's looking both ways before crossing a one-way street, they're a little too cautious, they're a little too worrisome. I don't believe that's the best way to live your life. And me, I'm kind of, at times I do expect the worst out of things, but over my life, I've actually learned things that actually have helped me to get through more major times in my life. And it all starts out with the little things. And I'm going to give you an example of how I have become, how situations where I felt very pessimistic, or how I've, learned to deal with those things, and how I overcome them and I get through them. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is my fear of heights. I've always been scared of heights. Even little roller coasters as I was a kid, I would not want to go on them. What was the worst that can happen too? I'm strapped in, I'm buckled in, there's no accidents that happen. Maybe I'm crappy amusement parks in Mexico, but I'm not in Mexico. Or America, we have good amusement parks. I was always scared of them. I'd wait in line with friends, or when we'd go with my family, my dad would be there too, and then right before we would get on the roller coaster, I'd be like, "Dad, I have to use the restroom." And my cousin would be like, "Oh my God, Kevin, again?" I'm like, "I'm serious." And I'd go, and then I'd leave, and, I wouldn't go on the roller coaster. That was my way of getting out of it. But over time, I started to learn, there's nothing wrong with roller coasters. It's the little feeling that gets me scared, but the adrenaline rush after, I actually enjoy it a lot. And I've learned to go on roller coasters, even if I still get scared. I'm not gonna lie, I still get scared, but I go on those roller coasters and I overcome them. And that's my way of how, I learned to get over something that was actually a big fear in my life. And another thing I'm going to talk about is how I've broken both my collarbones before. Not at the same time, but once when I was about 11 and another time my senior year of high school. The first time, it wasn't much of a big deal, it was broken, but I was in 6th grade and I was riding a scooter down a hill. And as I did that, I turned at the bottom and there was a bunch of sand, and I flipped and rolled, and I just landed on my right shoulder and just totally snapped it. It was painful. I was mad. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't play the rest of my baseball season," this and that. But it was fine. But then the one that really hurt me was the one my senior year, when I was senior year of high school playing varsity soccer. I was excited before the season even started. During practice, I got caught up in a teammate's leg, tripped, and broke my whole, snapped my left collarbone. And it was, oh my gosh, it was so painful. And I was bummed for about a week. All that soccer I played my whole life, and I can't even play my senior year of high school. I wasn't depressed. I was probably being more of a baby than I should have. But I learned to get over that. I learned to just accept what things came to me, and I learned to accept the fact that, I'm not going to get the chance to play my senior year, but might as well just make the best out of it and enjoy, being with my teammates and being in their presence. And the last thing that, all those things have worked out, and I've learned to overcome things in a different manner. And most recent was that about 3 months ago, my dad was actually had what we thought was a stroke, and it was probably the scariest day of my life. And then he goes to the hospital, he's unconscious, not breathing, and then we find out that they find something in his brain. And then my mom's talking to me from the hospital. I'm at home watching my brothers, and they don't know what's going on. They're kind of younger. And I was like, wow, well, this is gonna be bad. Like my uncle was there too, and he was like, trying to comfort my mom, like it's gonna be a long, hard journey. But what we find out was that they said it wasn't anything bad. It was just a little infection. It should go away in about 3 weeks. 3 weeks go by, and it actually tripled in size. And this was like, all right, well, they're gonna have to surgically remove it. And then when they go do it, they're like, it's gonna be an infection, or it'll take about 3 hours. 5 hours go by. They end up coming, they finally finish, and they say it was a tumor. And then that was just, wow, like, okay, well, was it cancerous? And like, well, it could be benign or malignant. So we're waiting for that for about a week, and when it was supposed to be 2 days for the results to come back. And what had happened was that we were like, okay, well, it's taking a long time for them to tell us. It must be good news. And they're saying he has brain cancer. So for about a month now, he has, had brain cancer, and we were just devastated. But me and my mom have actually been the strongest out of everyone. And we've learned just, look at the positive side of it, not be pessimistic and look at the worst in the thing, look at the positive side and be like, he's still here with us. He's on treatment, he's doing perfectly fine. And we look at the best, and I think I get that from my parents too, that, it's better to be positive than a negative person, because if you find that positive vibe in life, then it'll be easy just to go about things. And that's it.
Well, Kevin, you got a little stuck there in the introduction, but you got through it pretty well. The transition to the quote was fine. I think you've got a clear point of view there. It's not really much of a preview, but you do kind of tell us that you're going to talk about particular experiences. And then it's the experiences that really make up the structure of the speech. You've got, so it's easy to follow when you're talking about the roller coasters and then the collarbone breaking and then the problem that your father has. I think that those distinct examples help structure it a lot more, even though the preview, like I said, was, I think, a little bit skimpy. Your presentation, you usually do a good job, and I think you've done a good job here. Your voice is fine. There's pretty good variety there. It seems like it's going at the right pace. Timing issues, you probably noticed that you did go overtime quite a bit, so you got to have a little bit more control of that, a little bit more awareness of what's going on. I thought there were some nice descriptive gestures in the speech. Your facial expressions are fine. Your eye contact was a little bit less strong in the last half of the speech than it was in the first half. I thought for some reason maybe you're just internalizing and thinking about what's going on, and you kind of disengage from the audience a little bit. All right, well, we've got to stop. We've got to move on because we've got other speakers.